what is the impact on the economy likely to be, and more particularly, how does it govern the MBA decision? And so now this MBA decision thing is going to be in multiple parts. And so the guys who are already doing their MBA right now, who finished their MBA, looking at final placements, they're in a soup. And quite a few companies are likely to have rescinded offers. I graduated in 2003. Even in 2001, 2, there were quite a few offers that were rescinded. I think one of the companies was a company called I2. They canceled their offers, and then somebody else had to mop them up. The dot-com bust happened in 2001. There were placement issues then, in the sense that everything went swimmingly well, and then the offers were taken back. And so that happens. You can't really blame the companies. There are quite a few startups that recruit at the IIMs these days. These are heavily funded, non-profitable startups. And so somebody has their hand in the cookie jar, so everything's fine, goes swimmingly better. But then if something like this happens, offers will be taken back. That is the reality of it. It will happen for internships, it will happen for jobs. So the guys who have finished their MBA and looking to join the workforce on June 1st, they can very well expect to join perhaps by August 1st or September 1st. They get an extended holiday, not the end of the world. The guys who are doing their internship, they're in trouble. Internships probably won't happen. They'll have to do some kind of project and fudge it. Not the end of the world, but it's some kind of small problem. And so, but these are not points where we take a decision on. It is not something where you're already there doing an MBA. So there's nothing to be decided from here on. Fine. So now, what is going to happen? Should I join an MBA with this kind of uncertain outcome, with the world being what it is? Fine. So my suggestion, if you're joining a 2-year MBA, it's a good time to join an MBA. When recessions last for 2, 3, 4 quarters, they generally don't last 8 quarters unless we are in a severe depression, in which case all bets are off. And so recession follows a certain pattern. It goes, growth starts declining, and then will come back and hit a trough, and then it starts recovering. The job market picks up slightly even before the economy starts recovering. People start hiring, people see that some clearing out is happening. The stock market recovers even before the jobs market. Fine. So that's usual pattern of a recession. You'll have declining growth, perhaps hit a 1 quarter of negative growth or very low growth, and then bounce back after that, during which phase capacity building, all of that happen. And so another type of economic disruption is a natural disaster. So if you have a big earthquake, a big tsunami, big flood, then you get a hit for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, where economic activity in a particular geography stops, and then it comes back. So there's a hit, but growth and going concerns and how it works long term, they're all not affected. Right. So if you're looking to join a 2-year MBA now, then join the MBA assuming there's not going to be any major impact from COVID, and it's unlikely to happen. It's not likely that economy will be in a giant recession for 2 years from now. And so we're already begun contracting, and so it's going to be disastrous, but there's usually a bounce back which happens. And so it's an interesting thing to kind of think about. What could happen to the economy 2 years from now? What are the guys who are in the forecasting business? What are they saying? And so the IMF, the National Monetary Fund, they are saying that we're going to have severe contraction this year and a serious hit to the economy this year, and this is significant. And so the number the IMF is touting is the world economy being down 3%. And so natural disasters are focused geographically narrow, and they leave a one-time hit. And so whereas this one is not narrow, this is not a one-time hit, this is broad-based. And so there's a one-time hit, but not just like an earthquake or a tsunami or floods. Not a 2-week, 3-week hit, but a sustained period of shutdown. So it's like a natural disaster which crashes everything, but across all geographies, which is going to be followed by a recession. So it's a combination of what happens with a big one-time hit and a nice deep recession, both put together. And so the IMF is actually saying the global economy is projected to contract by 3% in 2020, fine, which is sharp. The last recession that we had was 2008-9. I was a banker doing stock peddling. I used to pitch to hedge funds to buy and sell stock and short this and buy that option, all kinds of nonsense. Fine. So I used to read reams of stuff, and it used to be really scary because I was working in a large investment bank, and the banks right next door were going bust. So there was a weekend where it looked like Morgan Stanley would go bust, Merrill Lynch would go bust, Lehman was already out, Bear Stearns was already out, and a couple of Swiss banks were flirting with bankruptcy, and Tata, not Tata, AIG was in trouble. So it was disastrous, and this could have become endemic and all over the place very rapidly. Fine. So, but in that recession, which is called a Great Recession, the world economy contracted by 0.1%. And so now they're talking down 3%. So this is a cull. This is just removing one giant part of the economy and just saying, look, we don't have it this year. Having said that, the IMF, who is actually the leading body in tracking world economics, they're saying the next year, assuming the pandemic starts fading in the second half of 2020, that is from July onwards, we'll have a bounce back to about 5.8%. So even if you don't consider a scenario kind of as optimistic as this, even if you say this stays for another 6 months, 9 months, by the time you're into 2022, the economy will be ready to bounce back and spring. Usually what happens is whenever there's a recession, capacity contracts, not just the economy. So if you can produce 1,000 cars, you start producing 900, 800, 700, 600 every day. But then the moment it becomes 500, below that, you say, look, I don't need to have an infrastructure to produce 1,000. God knows when it will come. Let me ramp the production capacity down. Let me lay off a few people. Let me furlough a few people. Let me stop non-essential functions. Let me not worry about annual maintenance. Let me cordon off one part of my factory. All that will happen. So my capacity shrinks from 1,000 to 500. Right? When the recovery happens, not only does output start coming, capacity building also comes in. So I call in new engineers, I expand my plant, I bring in new people, I re-employ. All that will have a period of compensatory growth. So there'll be a bounce back that happens. So if you're looking to do an MBA, fine, so and you have a chance of starting now, it is reasonably likely. It is very likely that by the time you graduate, especially if it's a 2-year MBA, which you're going to start in 2020 June and graduate by 2022 June, 24 months from now. And so recruitment will happen 18-19 months from now, and they're going to look at 24 months from now, that outlook to recruit. The risk of it being a poor decision is very low. Very counterintuitively, it could be a breakthrough year. And economic cycles have a downswing and an upswing. So even if we have a lull for 1 year, it is going to be not bad. And so keep that in mind. IMF forecast is as clear an indicator as anything. They're taking a baseline of pandemic recovery, and they're saying basically that, hey, we're going to be down 3% this year, which is a cull, which has been one of those never before seen type of recession, because this is broad based across geographies. Heavy interlinking, it's going to destroy a few industries. Everything is not slowing down or reducing. Everything has gone from X to 0 rapidly. And so down 3% is a sharp recession. It's going to leave a reasonable term impact. But notwithstanding that, they're saying we'll have a 5.8% growth in world economy, which is like a bull run. Right? So if the world economy grows by 5.8% in 2021, then the guys who are graduating that year are the luckiest fellows. And so now the graduating year, there's a lot of research on this in the US especially. Is graduating year important or graduating college important? Between the two, apparently graduating year is important. So you can graduate from Harvard or Yale in year X and year X plus 5. The difference is very significant. And so graduating from a college rank 40 in a good year is better than graduating from Harvard in a bad year. And so graduating 12 months from now might be fantastic. 24 months from now, generally out. And so the guys who are looking to prepare for a cat, and you should just not be bothered about this, because you're going to prepare for a cat now for 8 months or 6 months. Take the exam, hopefully join in 2021 May, June, graduate in 2023 June, which is from here 38 months. And there's an awful lot of time for an economic recession, even one as deep as this, to bounce back from. And so there's going to be concerted government action. There's going to be a lot of trouble, but don't worry. If you've got a good admit, join. Have faith that things will bounce back. Things look very bleak in the moment, but it's not a recession that's going to be around for 6 quarters. Unlikely. There will be a bounce back at some point of time. It could be a wonderful decision for you to graduate in 2022. If you're thinking about starting to prepare now, it's a no-brainer. Absolutely, don't even think twice about it. Throw everything into it, and then you're off.